Well, spring training is upon us, and exhibition games are about to begin next week, and Blake Snell's price tag is starting to drop, which has allowed more teams to make a run at the lefty. Now, the Angels have remained a possible landing spot for Snell, according to MLB Network's Jon Heyman. He reported that Snell is believed to be the team's top target this offseason, but he hears that the owner of the Angels, Artie Moreno, hasn't given the green light to meet the Southpaw's price tag. Bob Nightingale also reported that the Blue Jays have been quietly monitoring Snell's free agent market this winter. The Jays being in on Snell is really not that surprising, to me at least, when you consider that they were in on Shohei Ohtani earlier this offseason. Regardless of how legitimate those rumors were, you put your name in the likes of signing a guy like Ohtani, there really is no big surprise when you pivot to a guy like Blake Snell right now. So Blue Jays have a more realistic opportunity to get Blake Snell than the Angels, but we'll have to see. Again, adding Snell to a Blue Jays rotation would improve an already strong pitching staff for Toronto. Again, they ranked 4th in team ERA with 3.78, and they were tied for 9th in all of baseball for team WHIP with a 1.25. So those two teams are in on Blake Snell right now, as reported by Bob Nightingale and Jon Heyman. I could totally see Snell going to Toronto. I'm not 100% confident in those rumors regarding the Angels, considering, they let Ohtani walk, and they're kind of in a weird middle ground right now. Moreno was going to sell the team. Now he's not selling the team. They keeping Mike Trout. Are they going for it? Are they not? It's kind of a weird situation out there in Anaheim, California. Also, two other teams are in on it, being the Yankees and the Giants. They have shown much interest in Blake Snell, particularly the New York Yankees, who most notably offered Snell a 6-year, $150 million contract earlier this offseason, which he declined. However, both teams may become gun-shy to offer such a high and lucrative contract to Blake Snell, considering they have both already given lucrative contracts to other starting pitchers. For San Fran, they signed Jordan Hicks to a 4-year deal, and for New York, they signed Marcus Stroman to a 2-year deal. So again, the Giants and the Yankees have pivoted away from Snell, so to speak, and going for the second best option in their eyes with Jordan Hicks and Marcus Stroman. So it's interesting to see his market right now. The longer he waits, the lower his price tag will drop. So I think more teams will be open to signing Blake Snell due to him kind of playing hardball right now in the negotiation process. Speaking of the Giants, they have added some much-needed power this offseason when they signed Jorge Soler to a 3-year deal that is worth $42 million, including a $9 million signing bonus. That is according to Mark Feinsand of MLB.com. Now, he blasted a team-high 36 home runs en route to his first All-Star appearance in South Florida last season. Now, although 36 bombs may not be eye-popping to the average fan, it is to Giants fans, truly, because they haven't had a hitter produce 30-plus home runs since Barry Bonds in 2004, which is totally mind-blowing to me. I would have thought that Pablo Sandoval would have hit at least 30 in his time in San Fran, the big power bat out there by the Bay during between 2009 to 2013 or something. I'm surprised the Panda did not eclipse 30 bombs. So you got to be excited for Soler to come by the Bay if you're a Giants fan and see if he can replicate a 30-plus home run season out there at Oracle Park, which may be pretty difficult considering he's a right-hander. It's not a right-handed hitter-friendly ballpark. If he was a lefty, yeah, I could see it, but the righty may be difficult, but you never know. I mean, they do play in the West where they go to Colorado quite a bit, so that may help him as well. So I could totally see him hitting 30-plus bombs out there by the Bay, despite the not-so-friendly confines of Oracle Park for right-handed sluggers. Now, moving over to some injury news. The Orioles have suffered multiple injuries starting the 2024 spring training. They announced on Tuesday that Kyle Bradish will start the season on the IL due to a sprained UCL in his right elbow. And now he received a plasma injection to offset his pain. Now Baltimore's GM Mike Elias said that, quote, everything is pointing in the right direction for Bradish, and that he started a throwing program on Friday. Now this could have been a really big blow for the O's, considering Bradish had a breakout performance last season, going 12-7 with a 2.83 ERA and a whip just over 1. Another injury to a young Orioles star is Gunnar Henderson, AL's Rookie of the Year last season. He has suffered an oblique injury and is expected to be out 2 to 3 weeks. However, Elias said the injury is quite typical for early spring training. That's a paraphrase right there. Now, Henderson is expected to be ready for opening day, according to the O's GM. That's some good news right there, but he will miss a couple of weeks of regular spring training work. And finally, John Means is behind schedule for his offseason training. That was delayed after an elbow injury he sustained last season, late in the season, back in 2023, and forced him to miss the ALDS. Now, Brandon Hyde acknowledged that because of this delay for John Means, he will, in fact, start the season on the injured list for the O's. It's frustrating news for Means personally, when you consider he's only appeared in 4 games last season after recovering from Tommy John surgery the year before. So it means, great potential. I remember him throwing the no-hitter in Seattle a couple of years ago. I really like this guy. And then injury bug just has been plaguing him the past couple of years. We have not seen his full potential yet, I feel like, in the major leagues. So hopefully he recovers quickly for the Orioles and he gets back on the bump and does some great things for the boys in Baltimore. Now, Justin Verlander, he says he's a little bit behind schedule due to some off-season shoulder inflammation, and this could prevent him from being ready for opening day.
I have my thoughts. Interestingly, I'm a little bit behind schedule right now. Had a little hiccup early on that's resolved itself, but I have to be really cautious with how I'm building up. I guess my body doesn't respond the same at 40 as it does at 25. So, I'm a couple weeks behind. So I think all that thought going into those conversations will play into that. So, that all makes sense to me.
When you say a couple weeks behind, can you tell us what the hiccup was? And
just when I first started playing catch, I usually shut it down for a while, and this time when I shut it down and picked the ball back up, my shoulder didn't feel so great. So kind of had to take a step back and just kind of really be diligent about my build-up. I've always been somebody who luckily could just pick up a ball and start throwing it, and this time wasn't quite as easy, so had to slow down a little bit. And I've always liked to give myself as much rest as possible, so my timeline is always a little tight.
So it looks like it's more of a shoulder versus an elbow, which is a good thing considering he already had Tommy John surgery being JV. So that's kind of a good news there. He doesn't seem he's too concerned about it. Again, the guy is 40 years old. Like he said in the video, he's not 20-something years old anymore, so I'm not too concerned about this. If it was an elbow, I'd be concerned. If it was a forearm, I'd be concerned. But the shoulder, weirdly enough, isn't that too serious. I'm not too concerned about it. He doesn't seem concerned about it at all. Now, Tim Anderson, he could be headed to South Beach. Yes, according to insider Ken Rosenthal, Miami has offered the 30-year-old shortstop a contract. Now, Anderson has hit .318 with a 123 WRC plus from seasons 2019 to 2022. Now, he isn't the only free agent infielder the Marlins are considering. This offseason, they're also talking to Alberto Mondesi about the shortstop job, Gio Urshela about a first baseman's role, third base, and DH. So, the typical Marlins move, get a guy who's, kind of on the decline-ish, and see if you could revitalize his career. No pressure down there. Yes, they made the playoffs, but it's not like they're coming into the season looking to compete for the division. You'd expect the Mets, the Phillies, and the Braves are the top dogs, right, in that National League Eastern Division. So, not a lot of pressure down there in the warm weather of South Beach. A controlled environment regarding the stadium, right? So, a tough division, yes, but, we'll see what happens with him and the Marlins if that deal does in fact get done. Now, the best news of the day has come to fruition as Rob Manfred announced Thursday that he is serving his third and final term as the commissioner of Major League Baseball. Hallelujah, praise God. He is retiring once his term ends in 2029. He will be 70 years young. He says, quote, "You only have so much fun in a lifetime." That was part of his quote when talking to reporters down there in Florida this past week. The success of the implementation of the pitch clock last year coincided with a nearly 10% increase in attendance, and in 2022, he oversaw playoff expansion to 12 teams. So those are some good things Manfred has brought to Major League Baseball despite that Astros cheating scandal. The way I think of Rob Manfred, I kind of compare him to Billy Beane of the Oakland A's when he kind of broke in and did his whole Moneyball spiel, and that philosophy, came out, and it was a new trend in the sport. It was something that no one tapped into. No one had the guts to really experiment with. And, back then, people would call him a nutcase. Fire him, he's crazy. He should never be in baseball. He's a lunatic. He's just a player. And he was an outsider, truly. Him going for something totally erratic and totally different with the stat stuff. It's now become mainstream in Major League Baseball regarding analytics. So Billy Beane was really ostracized back then. And that's how I kind of look at Rob Manfred right now. He has become ostracized. No one likes him right now. But I think once his tenure is done, we'll kind of look back and we'll say, wow, you know what? Rob Manfred was an innovator. He was a risk taker. He was willing to do unconventional things to help make baseball better. And in the process, he put his own reputation at risk. I think once we look back at it, we'll see this is a turning point. He was the reason why baseball got to level X. That's all I got. Please like, please comment, and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And as always, I'll catch you guys later.